All right, at this time, everyone, we'll catch you up on what went down in all the action in the league tonight. The Blackhawks took to the road to match up with the Maple Leafs. Chicago peppered the opposition with plenty of goals en route to the win. The Coyotes were in a dogfight on the road up against the Sharks. Arizona toughs one out and pick up the win. The Penguins had their hands full with the Ducks. Anaheim partied it up with a big offensive display. We got a jam-packed show. We've got a lot more stuff we got to get to, so don't even think about going anywhere. Stay with us. Let's take a look at the scoreboard and what went down tonight on the ice. The Avalanche played a game against the Jets. Colorado tore it up on this night, and they pick up the 2 points. The Yotes faced off with the Kraken. Arizona perseveres in this one, and they get the victory. The Penguins took to the ice for a collision with the Oilers. Pittsburgh takes this one in overtime in a thriller. Hey, we got to take a quick pause for the cause, but we got a lot more on the other side. Don't even think about leaving us. Well, busy night in the National Hockey League. Let's see what happened elsewhere on the ice. The Jets faced off against the Coyotes. Arizona pushes on through with the shootout win. The Canucks were looking to steal 2 against the Kings. Vancouver torched their opponents with a big offensive display. The Kraken played a game against the Oilers. Seattle pulls one out in a nail-biter. We are as cool as ice, and we are bringing you many more stories from the NHL. We're doing it next. Let's check in on some of the final scores across the league tonight. The Predators were hoping to take a bite out of the Kings. Nashville totals the opposition with a big offensive night. The Sharks were hoping to play spoiler against the Lightning. San Jose pressed on, always persevered, and they get the win. The Habs were hoping to fly high on the road against the Capitals. Washington turns in a strong effort, and they pick up the win. We'll check the inbox, we'll check the text line, and hear what you have to say next. Hey, no shortage of action and drama on the ice tonight. Let's take a look at what happened elsewhere. The Isles were on the road to take on the Predators. The New York Islanders triumphed easily in this one. The Avalanche paired up with the Hurricanes. Colorado takes down the opposition with the overtime winner. The Stars took to the ice to lock up with the Senators. Ottawa pulled this one out with a strong defensive effort. Hey, we got to pay a couple of bills here, but we got a lot more action we got to get to. Stay with us. All right, let's get all you poolies and all you hockey fans caught up on all the action out on the ice tonight. The Wild played on the road against the Blackhawks. Minnesota tramples the opposition with a big offensive night. Well, with this one all in the books, let's get you caught up on some of the other final scores around the National Hockey League. You know, I want to bring it back to him for just a second here. When you look at trying to project who's going to win what awards this season, I'll say this. I think you're looking at the leading candidate for the Lady Byng Award. You know, most gentlemanly player. And it's not to suggest he's soft. He plays hard. He competes. He's not dirty. Goes out there and delivers. Right? That's a guy you can trust out there. I think that's why he's earned a lot of respect from his teammates as well. But I think if I'm going to pencil in a winner right now, I'm going to lean towards him to claim the Lady Byng Award. All right, we'll take some of your predictions. Phones are wide open right now. All right, let's take a look at some of the final scores in the league tonight. The Islanders took to the road to match up with the Maple Leafs. The New York Islanders toughed this one out, and they get the 2 points. The Flyers were in a dogfight on the road against the Devils. New Jersey terrorized the opposition with a magical offensive display. The Canucks were in tough with the Capitals. Washington powers their way to victory in this one. Don't go anywhere. We've got much more here on the show. I think we can all agree. We like how he plays. We like the skill set. But you have got to play with a little more fire, a little more compete. You gotta turn that care meter up. Like, find that dial that goes to 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. Turn it up, crank that sucker up. And I think that's exactly the message that the coaching staff has been trying to preach. The skill's there, the talent's there, but man, it is frustrating to watch when it doesn't come together on a regular basis. Back to the phones we go. We got Pedram on line 4. Okay, everybody, let's take a quick look at some of the final scores around the league tonight. The Bruins went toe-to-toe on the road against the Devils. New Jersey took this one with a strong defensive effort in their own end. The Sharks had a tall order to fill as they tried to take two on the road against the Sabres. San Jose put on a clinic defensively en route to a shutout victory. The Canadiens took on the Red Wings. Montreal totally dominant in this one, scoring at will, it seemed, in the win. We got to take a quick break, but we got a lot more coming your way next. Some drama, a little bit of everything on the ice tonight. Let's take a look at some of those scores around the league. The Kraken paired up with the Golden Knights. Vegas punched on through thanks to the shootout victory, and they get the 2 points. The Maple Leafs were hoping to grab 2 points up against the Sabres. Toronto tops the opposition in a fun one. The Ducks were looking to steal 2 points against the Predators. Nashville pulls one out in a tightly contested affair. We got to take a quick pause for the cause, but we got a lot more coming up on the other side. Stay with us. Great night to be on the couch and watching hockey. Tons of scores around the league. Let's take a look at what went down. The Blues battled it out against the Blackhawks. St. Louis took this one in overtime on the heels of a great extra frame goal. Elsewhere on the ice tonight, the Kings had an on-ice collision with the Jets. Los Angeles pounds the opposition into submission with a big goal-scoring night. The Hurricanes look to run roughshod over the Flyers. Carolina terrific in the shootout portion of the game, and they get the extra point to go with it. Lots more still to come, including the story in MMA, the hardwood, and more. Stay with us. All right, let's go around the horn and see what happened elsewhere around the NHL tonight. The Caps took to the ice to battle the Maple Leafs. Toronto pushes past in a tight one. The Canucks were looking to grab points on the road against the Kings. Vancouver turns in a complete effort, and it's enough to pick up the win. Don't even think about touching that dial or touching that button. We've got plenty more on the ice, and that's next. To him for a second here. I think we're really starting to see the real version of who he is, not just on the ice, but we're starting to see that personality pop a little more within the room. And, you know, the way he kind of engages with the media, the way he's kind of expressed himself out on social media a little bit, you're starting to see that, you know, a little bit of a goofball every once in a while, right? And that's okay to kind of see with the genuine persona. And I think, from what I understand, I think it's really gone a long way to help endear himself with his teammates where, you know, he's open more. He's more comfortable. And I think the players... There's a lot of outside noise around this team these days, and I want to bring it back to him for just a moment here because there's a lot of conversations and everybody seems to debate, the social circle within the room with this team and the focus of the conversation around him and whether he endears himself enough to his teammates off the ice. Hey, look, I don't think it's a matter about having to hang out at clubs or hang out at restaurants or just go sightseeing together off the ice. You know what? You want to endear yourself the best way possible to your teammates? Be the best teammate you can be. He needs to simply focus on being the best player. And you know what? If he is the best version of himself on the ice, his teammates will accept him. And if they can't, well, that's on them. But I don't think this is all about having to be this dynamic personality or try to extend to be somebody you're not. No. Be the best player you can be. I think that's all any teammate or any coach can ask for someone. Time for a quick break. I want to get your take on this one. All right, at this time, let's get you caught up on all the action on the ice tonight. The Flames were on the road to take on the Capitals. Washington played their best when it mattered most, and they get the overtime win. The Blues were on the road up against the Oilers. Edmonton trampled their opponents with a big offensive night. The Stars were hoping to quiet the crowd on the road against the Rangers. The New York Rangers turned it up in the skills competition, and they get the extra point in the win. A very special guest drops by on the show, and we'll do that next. Those were pretty pointed comments from the coaching staff to say, hey, look, you need to tighten it up on the ice. You are way too undisciplined out there. We've tried to talk to you about this, and you're not getting the message. I don't know what's next, but I would think that maybe some playing time that could be shaved if you're not going to listen to what the coaching staff's telling you. But look, too many reckless penalties. It's hurting the team. But I thought it was pretty public from the coach's sentiment there, from those comments, that he needs to tighten it up. All right, meantime, some other interesting comments around the NHL here. Was there any volatility in the standings across the NHL tonight? Well, let's take a look at some of the final scores to find out. The Ducks were hoping their offense would show up in a big way against the Kings. Anaheim topples their opponents with a strong effort late. The Blue Jackets were hoping to come up with 2 points on the road against the Bruins. Boston pulled this one out thanks to coming up big in the shootout. The Leafs took to the road to match up with the Stars. Dallas tallies the overtime winner to come away with the extra point. The story on the ice continues in a moment. Well, let's take a look at how the standings were impacted with some of the final scores around the league tonight. The Blackhawks were in a dogfight on the road up against the Kings. Chicago plastered the opposition with a little bit of everything on this night. The Predators faced off with the Blues. St. Louis posts a shutout as they get an absolute masterpiece between the pipes. Lots more puck talk coming your way, and we'll get to it next. Let's take a look at the rest of the action on the ice tonight in the National Hockey League. The Canucks took to the ice for a collision with the Stars. Dallas turned it up in the shootout, and they come away with the 2-point win. The Capitals faced off against the Rangers. Washington pulverizes their opponents with a big offensive night. The Flyers were looking to steal 2 against the Penguins. Pittsburgh tore it up, and did they ever in the extra frame, winning in overtime. We got to take a quick break, everybody, but we've got a lot more to get to. Stay with us. Busy night of action on the ice. Let's take a look at some of the finals that are in from tonight. The Stars were hoping to take a bite out of the Sabres. Dallas poked out a victory in a tight one. The Islanders were hoping to play spoiler against the Ducks. Anaheim takes this one in a tightly contested affair, and the bragging rights to go with it. The Preds were hoping to fly high on the road against the Canucks. Nashville performed brilliantly in the skills competition, and they get the shootout win. Hey, a few more hot button issues we got to get to. It's a jam-packed show tonight. Stick around. Let's take a look around the league and some of the final scores out there tonight. The Stars were on the road to take on the Blackhawks. Dallas toughed this one out, and they get the win. The Flames took to the ice to lock up with the Oilers. Edmonton padded the stats in this one, scoring at will. The Predators took to the road to match up with the Wild. Nashville treated everybody to a brilliant offensive display. Time for a quick break, but we got a lot more coming up on the ice next. Now let's take a look at some of the rest of the action tonight in the NHL. The Coyotes were in a dogfight on the road against the Hurricanes. Arizona picks up the shutout with an absolute clinic in goal on the night. The Kings were in tough with the Sabres. Los Angeles takes this one as they win it in the shootout. The Flyers went toe-to-toe on the road against the Flames. Calgary put up a strong fight, and they do enough to get the win. Lots more to get to on the ice. Stay with us, everybody. I think we can all agree. We like how he plays. We like the skill set. But you have got to play with a little more fire, a little more compete. You gotta turn that care meter up. Find that dial that goes to 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. Turn it up, crank that sucker up. And I think that's exactly the message that the coaching staff has been trying to preach. The skill's there, the talent's there, but man, it is frustrating to watch when it doesn't come together on a regular basis. Back to the phones we go. We got Pedram on line 4. Time to take a look at what happened around the league as we check in on some of the scores. The Habs had a tall order to fill as they tried to take 2 on the road against the Ducks. Anaheim tightened it up when they needed to on the heels of a sensational effort in goal. The Predators took on the Flyers. Nashville posts a shutout in an impressive defensive display. The Stars were hoping to grab 2 points up against the Blues. Dallas takes this one in a fun one. We got a jam-packed show. We've got a lot more stuff we got to get to, so don't even take a look at some of the scores of what went down. The Lightning played on the road against the Red Wings. Tampa picks up not only the win, but the shutout as they put on an absolute masterpiece in their own end. The Jets were looking to steal 2 points against the Oilers. Winnipeg too much to handle on this night, and they pick up the 2 points. The Kings battled it out against the Wild. Los Angeles posts a strong game in their own end, and they do enough to get the W. Hey, we got to take a quick pause for the cause, but we got a lot more on the other side. Don't even think about leaving us. All right, at this time, everyone, we'll catch you up on what went down in all the action in the league tonight. The Sharks had an on-ice collision with the Blackhawks. San Jose taps into another gear and skate away with the 2 points. The Kings look to run roughshod over the Predators. Nashville pressed when they had to, and they pick up the extra time win. The Bees took to the ice to battle the Devils. Boston, too much to handle in the shootout, and they get the win. We are as cool as ice, and we are bringing you many more stories from the NHL. We're doing it next. Let's take a look at the scoreboard and what went down tonight on the ice. The Sabres were looking to grab points on the road against the Flyers. Buffalo. Well, busy night in the National Hockey League. Let's see what happened elsewhere on the ice. The Blue Jackets were on the road to take on the Sharks. San Jose talked a big game going in. They back it up with a clean sheet shutout win. The Stars were on the road up against the Avalanche. Colorado posts a victory thanks to a strong offensive display. The Wild played a game against the Ducks. Minnesota taps into another gear and they get the win. We'll check the inbox, we'll check the text line and hear what you have to say next. Let's check in on some of the final scores across the league tonight. The Hawks were hoping to quiet the crowd on the road against the Oilers. Chicago puts up a clean sheet in the shutout victory. What a performance between the pipes. The Avalanche played a game against the Islanders. Colorado takes this one in a nail-biter. The Lightning paired up with the Panthers. Tampa Bay powers this one out with a strong game in their own end. Hey, we got to pay a couple of bills here, but we got a lot more action we got to get to. Stay with us. I'll tell you one thing I've also noticed, and not just on the ice, but it's translating off the ice as well. Like, this team is really starting to develop a deep bond. And I see it with him and his teammates where, you know, there was some talk about this beforehand. Look at the way he's played. Is there not a coincidence with the way that he has played as of late and how this team has kind of gelled? Coincidence? Absolutely not, right? He's been the best version of himself as a teammate. And that's how you earn the trust and respect and the admiration of your fellow colleagues and teammates. Hey, you know what? To me that I'm intrigued by is, you know, you look at what we've seen from him, and yes, we all know he's a talented player, but can he win? Can he win the Stanley Cup? And I think that question needs to be asked now because, you know, he's been in the league for more than a half a decade. I like what he said this week, that he's all in, that he is ready to be in it to win it. You know, I think he's going to need his teammates to be in that same mindset as well, right? I mean, he can only control what he can control, but let's see if there's a different player out there on the ice this year because, you know, I think there's a lot of talent there, but I think a lot of people have kind of seen, like, can he break on through to be great, right? There's very good, and then there's great. And I think we're waiting to see if he can make that jump and win the Stanley Cup. All right, to the phones we go. Matthew is on line 4.